I normally just try to educate people as much as I can about comics. I actually have a T-shirt. I'm not wearing it today, but it says "Comics are a medium, not a genre," because
I like that.
yes, I do wear it
Yeah.
to conventions and so on. Because a lot of people think that comics is just one thing, it's just one
Yeah.
type of stories, and it's such a shame because,
Yeah.
as I said before, there's such variety. And I also had a bit of kind of stigma from artists who work in other media. So, for example, fine artists,
Really?
painters, sculptors, they obviously see comics as something, or, it's not even proper art or anything, which is such a shame. So, I was once introduced by a sculptor she draws comic strips. I don't draw comic strips. I draw manga, I draw
Yeah.
graphic novels. I don't do comic
Yeah.
strips. But for some people, it's all the same, sadly.
It amazes me that people are so slow, because it's taken schools ages to catch up and become aware of how important they are, especially with readers of different abilities, and also young people who are more visually aware than
Yes.
sort of writing. It's just a different part of the brain. And
Yeah.
I sort of grew up with appreciating picture books, and people thinking picture books are something only for small children, and just not realizing the genius of the illustration and the artwork.
Yeah.
It's just, there's still a long way to go.
But
Yeah.
one thing I noticed in particular, and actually that is in a recent report by CSIC, which is Comics Cultural Impact Collective. So whilst there's a dip of reading enjoyment generally among people who read comics, there's actually an increased interest, and that's with children and adults. And what I also
That's amazing.
yeah,
Yeah.
and what I saw as well, so I often see children just walking from school reading a graphic novel, and it's brilliant to see, because sometimes when children go to high school and reading becomes really uncool, and that uncoolness does not spread onto comics. Comics are still
Yeah.
they're still
cool.
Yeah.
It's brilliant.
Yeah.
Maybe they are cool because schools and some libraries, not all,
Yeah.
slightly look down on them, so they should continue just for this psychological,
Possibly.
benefit.
Possibly, yes. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
can't have that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there was a YouTube video I saw recently. It was a teacher who was like telling it was an information about how they were trying to get their students to get excited about Shakespeare. And she said the one thing I did it was she got a graphic novel of Hamlet distributed, and that was it.
Yes.
Just that set it all.
Wow.
I mean, I'm not a Shakespeare person myself, but I can see how that would work.
Yes.
Yeah. Because the storytelling behind it just comes across.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah.
Yes, I think all those years ago, Manga Shakespeare was like one of the first things that became mainstream. I think it's actually approved by Shakespeare Society, and it's now almost like
Brilliant.
a staple in most schools. And it's because the storytelling is so alternative. Romeo and Juliet, for example, it's set in Japan, and Juliet rides a bike. She's like this really cool lady. She's not a victim. So yeah, it's brilliant.
Yeah. And that's what your T-shirt. It's a medium, not a genre.
Absolutely, yes.
You can take anything. And I think it's people before just tried to diminish it into, and even comic strips. They take skill, they take talent. You can tell more in those 3 pictures or 4 images a page than a lot of people could take in a Yeah,
it's like even like the single panels you see for Private Eye, like they get across so much and they're so sharp, but no one says that's just that's a silly picture. You can see that there's some thought going into that.